Welcome to Willys World. I've always been into wheeling. That's something that I've enjoyed ever since I was a little kid. You know, I went off with my dad and my grandfather off-roading and all kinds of different vehicles. So what sparked my interest in the Willys Jeeps was actually a run in Arizona called the Go Devil Run. It's specifically for these vintage Jeeps.
He's going left. Oh no, he ain't.
Did you not get the state of the right?
The Willys have definitely taken over a big part of my life. It wasn't like I strategically planned on owning as many as I do now. Obviously I wanted one after the trip, and so the hunt was on and I started looking, and I went on another flat fender trip in Moab. Just a couple of months later, and after that trip I really was hooked, and I started really looking and found one fairly local. What I love so much about the Willys Jeeps is the history behind them. In late 1939, World War II was already underway. The War Department desperately needed a rugged four-wheel drive vehicle strong enough to move men and equipment through any terrain, yet small and light enough to be loaded on planes and even cross rivers. In July 11, 1940, the Department of War formalized its specifications for a quarter-ton small four-wheel drive vehicle and submitted it to 135 companies. Companies were given just 11 days to respond with a bid, 49 days to have a prototype ready, and 75 days to produce the initial run of just 70 vehicles. Out of 135 companies, just 2 submitted proposals, American Bantam and Willys Overland. Bantam Jeep was actually the original manufacturer of the Jeep, and they didn't have the sustainability to fulfill the government orders. So the government stepped in and asked Willys Overland and Henry Ford to start building these Jeeps. They made cars beforehand, and they got a government contract to fulfill these orders for the military. So the first one came out in 1941. Demand quickly outpaced supply by October 1941. The War Department got Ford to start manufacturing Willys MB using their mass production capability. They called it the Ford GPW. Over the course of the war, 363,000 Willys MBs and 280,000 Ford GPWs were built. Majority of them didn't make it back. They got crushed, they got destroyed. That's why to this day there's still tons of them running around Europe, because we left a bunch behind. At the end of the Second World War, the Willys Jeep had proven itself a huge success. General Eisenhower described it as one of the most important vehicles of the war. So in 1945, Willys introduced the CJ series, which stands for Civilian Jeep, and they came out with the CJ2A. In 1949, Willys continued to improve and develop the Jeep for military use, and they introduced the M38 series. In 1950, Willys was awarded the rights to the Jeep name. By 1955, Willys and the Jeep name were purchased by Kaiser Industries. They kept producing Jeeps until they sold in 1968. Then the Willys name was no more. One of my favorite Jeeps that I own. It's a 1962 DJ3A, and they only made 200 in this specific color, which was flamingo pink. They were very popular amongst resorts, beachy communities. They were two-wheel drive, they were column shift, they were pink. They weren't really what you would think a Jeep would be, but they were made with leftover parts that they found. That was when Kaiser bought it and formed Kaiser Willys. At some point in its life, somebody got a hold of it and they converted it to four-wheel drive, and they painted it with a paintbrush, like a light green color. When I got a hold of it, it hadn't been on the road since 1981, and I rebuilt it and took it, immediately put it on the trailer and took it to Arizona for the Go Devil Run. Yeah, the first miles I put on that thing were going down the highway at full speed. And now it's a real Jeep. It's a four-wheel drive Jeep. I've had it all over the country. It had some epic times in it. I've had people just call me out of the blue and say, hey, are you the Willys guy? it's kind of turned out to be, I guess I am the Willys guy of town. You know, we started a flat fender club here recently, and we've got like 30 members. Most people that own them are very interesting individuals. They have to be pretty savvy about working on things.
Am I go get my Defender? Hey, run.
Everybody, thank you all very much for coming out here to the Jeep meet. So anyway, we got some trails back here in the woods. We'll probably just do like, you know, the first initial run, and everybody can kind of get their feel of the trails. Nothing hard. I mean, you could probably do most of it in two-wheel drive. Every state that I've been into has a community. Like, it's fun getting together with all my friends.
Hey, we don't have any crying and cheek driving. What the hell?
So my buddy Austin Ruddel, you know, the one that I think you got some wheels from in Jacksonville.
Yeah.
So, or maybe you sent some wheels. He told me that mine was built in the Dallas plant because of it. He sent it to that guy. It's gotten to a point now that they're actually finding me, which is nice. I just have so many of them, and I have such a reputation of it. Most people don't just buy one of these like a weekend four-wheeler. They usually have a reason to, or they've been in their family for generations and generations. A big part of the fun to me as well is the fun in the hunt. They're not the easiest things to find these days. It seems like they've gotten really popular in the past couple of years since I've really gotten into collecting them.
Been in the shop for 2 years just waiting to get work done, and then I met Dane through some other friends.
I just wanted to talk to you about what got you into Willys and what got you into the Jeeping community.